What is love? We've seen it defined in so many ways through this class. The love that people have for the game, its rules, and its beauty. There's a love that people have for things, like a glove or a certain bat. Love is a funny thing in that it doesn't seem to know bounds. Love is fluid and complex, with many different layers that come up throughout the novels. There are many different ways to define love. The Greeks have 4 different words for it. What I found most interesting is the almost father-son love that Schwartz had for Henry and that the professor had for Root. They are ordinarily defined as storge love, but feel more like a friendship, a reciprocal love, rather than a father-son relationship. Through comparing both Harbach's and Oaga's initial stages of development in these 2 unique relationships, we can see how this non-traditional familial love is mutualistic, filling a void just as much for the sonless professor in Schwartz as it does for the fatherless Henry and Root, and, as Schiller argues, is a relationship developed from the heart and not from the blood. These relationships are like a father-son relationship, in that there is an immediate, natural reaction when they first meet, like the love that a father has for his child when he first sees them after they're born. They begin with an embrace, either an emotional or physical one. The professor physically touches Root when he first meets him, encompassing him in a hug, which the housekeeper later comments are something that don't happen often in Root's life. The housekeeper even notes that this immediate acceptance and unconditional love is bittersweet, a combination of gratitude and jealousy that she feels. Schwartz's adoption of Henry is much more abstract. Schwartz doesn't initially approach Henry, but watches in awe and envy as Henry practices after the first game he sees. Harbach describes how Schwartz always wanted to, quote, possess some single transcendent talent, and, quote, he couldn't let Henry walk away. Both of these interactions, through their context, show the father-son relationship, where the pupil is in need of a teacher. Henry needs someone to believe in him, to give him the chance to keep playing baseball. Root needs someone to be a father for him, for the only loving adult in his life is his mother. Yet, from these 2 initial interactions, we can see how these relationships are similar to a clownfish and an anemone, mutually beneficial. These simple moments of clarity reinforce the professor and Schwartz's need to have this kind of relationship. Schwartz's own mediocrity causes him to yearn to develop someone who will gain him fame. The professor's lack of family causes him to need Root's love and attention. Like any good father-son relationship, there is an element of teaching, yet the learning happens on both sides of the equation, showing that there is more of a give and take to these relationships than a normal father-son relationship. The professor endeavors to teach Root as much as he can, and the housekeeper comments on how he, even as a renowned scholar, is able to help Root with the most basic of problems. She observes through the math that the professor has become, quote, the rightful protector of a child. Oaga's use of protector to describe the professor is interesting. Instead of being a frail old man with a memory problem, Root's presence seems to make him whole again and makes him feel needed, if just for a moment. Harbach takes a more indirect approach. He describes Henry's internal struggle to symbolically put his life in Schwartz's hands through relinquishing Zero to him, something he hasn't done in years. This opens up Henry to a workout session so grueling that he pukes. Henry is willing to submit himself to the routine, but Schwartz also relishes this trust and ability to advocate for Henry. These moments also reflect the mutualistic relationship that they have. The professor connects to others through math. Through finding a competent pupil, the professor finds a companion who can speak his language. Schwartz, whose identity is tied to Weddish, needs someone to give him hope for a better team and a better life. Finally, unlike the predictable father-son relationship, these mutualistic relationships become a foil to compare the other relationships throughout the books, showcasing their strength and inability to be replicated throughout the other characters, and the connectivity that it creates throughout the entire book. Although Schwartz serves as a spider on a web for the baseball team, there is no other that he mentors as much as Henry. He goes as far as to start a fight with one of the teammates in order to get Henry onto the field. Although Schwartz has other prodigies, like Izzy the shortstop, to replace Henry, no relationship is as strong as the one he has with Henry. The professor's relationship with Root also serves as a lens that helps the housekeeper reconcile her own relationship with the professor. She realizes that she will never be as good of a pupil as Root for math, which symbolizes her inability to have any kind of romantic connection with the professor. Without those connections, the innocence of the relationship is preserved, even when under fire from the sister-in-law. The combined strength of these two relationships is surprising. They aren't entirely defined by father-son, but seem to be deeper than just that kind of relationship. It challenges assumptions we may hold about what love looks like. Harbach and Oagawa present these relationships so that they seem to be a stronger commitment than friendship and even family. When a father-son relationship is replicated in the context of teacher-pupil, it can sometimes be distorted because the relationship has the same, if not more, heart as a father-son, but lacks the blood bond. In these relationships, the unconditional love towards one another is out of choice instead of obligation or duty. Unlike normal sacrifices, these are not because of blood ties. Despite the strain that each relationship is under, the characters depend on one another. Root needs a father figure. The professor needs someone to help him get past his memory loss. Henry needs a coach. Schwartz needs to feel validated. Each sacrifices for the other. Each cares for the other, and hierarchy based on status or age seems to disappear. Through the writing of Ogawa and Harbach, we can explore unconventional relationships, ones fostered despite unique circumstances. While it is not defined by romance or family or perhaps even friendship, it implies another kind of mentorship, one that is mutualistic, like bees pollinating flowers and flowers providing nourishment.